Year 12 General Maths students. This lesson is from Unit 3 General Maths, and we're looking at developing a linear model using least squares regression. We're doing this because in the next lesson we're going to do a full regression analysis of data. Okay, so the lesson objectives are we're going to review least squares regression method. We're then going to look at using Casio calculators to get some statistical values needed for regression analysis. Then we're going to review how to use Excel to fit a trend line to display the least squares regression equation, as well as seeing that R-squared coefficient of determination value on the graph. And then we're going to use Excel to perform a regression analysis of bivariate numerical data, including residual plots. If we look more in depth at any statistics that are within the data we collect, that can be really useful when considering the accuracy and predictive power of any model that we develop for our data. And for the purposes of this lesson, we're going to be referring to the example where we looked at the association of arm span and height. To start with, we'll just review the least squares regression techniques. So once we have a set of bivariate data to be analysed and we've established that there's a linear association, we can go ahead and fit a linear model to the data to help us make predictions using the model down the track. But this can only happen if three conditions are met. So firstly, all the data has to be numerical. Secondly, the association has been identified as linear. And lastly, there can't be any outliers. The process we use is called linear regression. And we use a straight line equation for Maths General in the form y equals bx plus a. And you may remember this from junior maths, where instead of y equals bx plus a, we were very familiar with the y equals mx plus c. So, just like in junior maths, we know the m represented the slope and the plus c represented the y-intercept. For Maths General, this just changes a bit, but instead of m we have b that represents the slope. So remember that's that angle to the horizontal, or the gradient that the line makes. The y-intercept is literally where the line crosses the y-axis. So we know that a is the y-intercept in this case, where our x value is 0, and from the linear model, that's your average value of the response variable when the explanatory variable equals 0. So, in other words, that represents the regression line's initial starting value of the model. B is our slope or our gradient. Another way to say it is rate of change of the line. And that's the average change, and that's either an increase or decrease in the response variable for each 1 unit increase of the explanatory variable. The values of the slope and the y-intercept are found using a method called least squares regression, and we're going to have a look at how to calculate those a little later. But first we just need to talk about this regression line. The regression line, another way of saying it is line of best fit or a trend line, and that's determined by taking the vertical distances from the line of best fit to each point, and this distance is known as a residual. When this line is fitted, the sum of the squares of the residual is as small as possible, so they're minimized. Okay, so essentially you visualize in your scatter plot where your trend line could be added. So if I was looking at initially here, I could see that maybe a best fit trend line would go there. Luckily for us, technology will do this for us, but essentially what happens is the trend line is fit by minimizing the distances between each of the points and a line. These distances between, they're known as a residual distance. So collectively, we look at the residuals from the points to the line. We can use these residual values to create what we call a residual plot. So the residual values, as we were discussing before, it's the actual point value minus the regression line value. And residuals can be positive, so the positive ones are above the trend line, negative ones are below the trend line, or residual could be zero, it lies on the trend line. So for example, if I had these values here, so my explanatory values are my x values, my response variables are my y values, I've put in a calculated trend line y value. What we're looking at is a difference between the response variable and the trend line value for each of these. If it's above the trend line, it's a positive value. So you can see this one correlates with the first value, and the point itself is above the trend line with a residual of positive 0.7. If I look at the second point, that one's below the trend line. So it has, when I look at these values, a residual of negative 1.1. This third point lies on the trend line. So it has a residual of 0. We use the residuals to then create a residual plot where we plot the residuals of the response variable versus the explanatory variable values. And they're really useful to check for evidence to show whether we truly have a linear or a non-linear relationship. The way that residual plots do this is once you plot the residual values versus the explanatory values, what you get in a linear pattern is a random collections of points spread around the zero horizontal line. This is where we can confirm that fitting a linear model is the right thing to do. In the second example, we suspect that this one is not non-linear, so has a curve in it. If we were to plot the residuals versus the explanatory variables, you can see here that we're getting a non-linear pattern on the residual plot. So it's not random, therefore we cannot use a linear model. Once we've finished with that residual plot verification process, we need to look at how we actually find the equation of the line using the least squares regression method. So to do this, we've got to collect some statistics from the numerical data that we're analysing. So the steps we're going to take is, have we defined which one's the explanatory and response variable? So we know the explanatory goes on the x-axis, response goes on the y-axis. From there, we have to calculate the mean of both the explanatory and response variables. So the explanatory is an x with a little hat. The response is a y with a hat. We then need to calculate the sample standard deviation of the explanatory variable and the response variable, and we just represent them with an x and a y to show the difference between the two. And then lastly, we need to determine the correlation coefficient. From here, because our linear model has the form y equals bx plus a, we can use the formula on our formula sheet to calculate the values of b and a. Substitute them in and we have our linear model. For the purpose of this lesson, we're just going to look at how to do this on our CATIA calculators and then Excel. As I mentioned before, I'm going to use the example where we were looking at the association of arm lengths and heights of 20 people who were sampled to see if there's some sort of predictable correlation. And we've already collected the following data. So we can see that there's a strong positive linear association. Doesn't appear to be any outliers. We already have a correlation coefficient of 0.956. The following are the steps we're going to take when we're inputting all of this into our calculator to generate the statistical values we're after. So you'll have to open up your calculators and we'll work through the example. The first thing we need to do is to enter the data in itself. So to do this, we select the mode, stat, option 2, the AX plus BX. This is going to be a very long process, so I'll just input the first couple of values. Okay, I'll put in the associated Y values. I'm going to go ahead and enter in the rest of the values, as I hope you will do, and we'll check in after this process is finished. Once you've completed the data entry, just make sure you scroll through and check your values are correct. And I've got 20 values inputted for each, so I know that I'm on the right track. From here, press your AC button, and then to access the statistical functions, we press Shift 1, and this gives us all our options here. To start with, we're going to choose option 4, and you can see that what's listed there is our number of values, our mean for our explanatory. We don't worry about this one. 4 is our sample for our explanatory. 5 is our mean for our response, and 7 is our sample standard deviation for our response variable. So if you choose one of those, let's choose the mean of the explanatory variables. So we're going to choose option 2 and press enter. It will pump out all of those values for you. So every time you just press stat function, we want 4, press enter. We want our mean response and our sample standard deviation for our response variable. We can also access our correlation coefficient, even though we've written that down previously, in the option 5 reg, so then we can find out from there that we have an R value of 0.956, which matches what we found using Excel. Once I have all of these values, I can then go and use the formula sheet equations to manually calculate our A and B values. So this is where you would be showing off your mathematical statistics skills. A much more direct method though is to also use our calculator to generate those A and B values we need for our linear model. So you may have seen them before in that option 5 reg. So option 1 will give us our A value for our y-intercept. Option 2 will give us our slope value. So if I have a look at those, there's our y-intercept. And there's our slope value. Like good little mathematicians, we would then document all of those values. So you should come up with some sort of summary, like I've demonstrated here. You can see I've used the statistical values to evaluate the slope and the y-intercept, and then from there you develop your linear model, and we've used the least squares regression method to do that. So our linear model should be y equals 0.821x plus 30.69. Finally, we would put the equation in terms of the context of the data that we're modelling. So in this case, our response variable or y value was our height, and that is equal to our slope by our explanatory variable, which is arm span, plus our y-intercept value. In the next lesson, we'll look at how we can apply this model to make predictions on values using the model. So in other words, we should be able to calculate a height given an arm span. Or if we rearrange the equation, we could calculate an arm span given a height. Another way we can find the equation of the line using technology is to use Excel to do this process. So again, I'm going to use the same example. Just below here, I've just documented the steps that I'm going to go through to show you how to get all of those statistical values using Excel. So you can access those notes at a later stage. So let's get into it and show you how to do it. The first 4 steps on those class notes are just reminding you how to actually compose a polished scatter plot. So we've already done that previously, so hopefully you've saved your scatter plots, and we can move on to step 4 to complete this regression process. Okay, so we need to access the data option, and up the top here, top right here, if you don't have this data analysis tab, what you'll need to do is add on the app that does it. You can click on the search option, and what you want is this add-in, and you want to click the Analysis Toolpack and Analysis Toolpack VBA. So select OK, and a data analysis should pop up on the right hand side here. Before we get stuck into using that data analysis tool, what I'm going to show you is just how to manually input commands to get some of those important statistical calculations. So again, I'd amend that little section to include the 4 other values that we're after. We've already calculated the correlation coefficient, so there's no need to do that again. We might just move this graph out of the way. Okay, so if you're fairly new to Excel, to calculate an average or a mean, we type in average. It will complete the formula for you, and because we want our arm span as our EV, we just simply select that data, and you'll see that it's copied that range over, close brackets, press enter. For the sample standard deviation, so the code for that is stdev.s, because we're after the sample. So if you select that, scroll down, select that range, you can see that it accounts for that, close brackets, press enter, then do the same for your response variable. easy done. If you don't like the number of decimal places that it's rounded it to, then you can change it by selecting the data, right-clicking, going to Format Cells, and telling it to round to, let's say, 3 decimal places. Nice and tidy. Okay, so let's look at using this data analysis tool. So if I click on it, once it loads, we scroll through the options, and the one we're after is the regression analysis tool. So click on that, press OK, and then it will ask us to input the ranges of data we're interested in. Now this is where you've got to be careful because it asks for the Y or response variable range first. So simply select that, so I'm shift clicking, then move down to your X range, which is your explanatory variable. Again, I'm shift clicking. Okay, before we press OK, we also want to know the residuals and residual plots, so make sure those boxes are ticked. Then you can press OK. What it will do is on a second sheet, it will generate a regression analysis for you. If you want to see all of the tabs, you can expand them, and you'll see here that it's also given us a residual plot, which is a handy tool to confirm that our association is linear. So we're going to deal with the residual plot first. Again, I'm not really happy with the scaling that it's given us. Now I'm not going to change the residual scale, however I am going to change the explanatory variable scale. So similar process to what we've done previously. I would like to see it at a minimum of 140, and I might change the maximum and I'll change the maximum to 200. Okay, that's a much better scaled residual plot. The important statistics from this regression output are, this one is our R value. This one here we're going to look at a bit more in depth next lesson. That's our R squared value. Down here, this is our A value, so that's also important. And this is our slope value. You'll also notice here that we are correctly assessing 20 bits of data. So that's our N. So the number of scores we're assessing. The last part of interest is if we scroll down, this gives us the value of all of our residuals in this column here. Again, you would want to document all your findings from Excel. We can see from our scatter plot, our positive, linear, strong association. Also from the scatter plot, we've got our linear model. So our height is equal to 0.8211 times the arm span plus 30.691. Got the R squared value, which we'll need for next lesson. we've taken over all our little statistical calculations, so if you needed to, you could then go ahead and use those formula on your formula sheet to calculate the slope and intercept values. We've copied across our important regression values and our residuals, and also, really important, we need our residual plot. So hopefully you've consolidated some of those techniques that we've covered before on using your calculator and Excel to help calculate useful statistical values. And in our next lesson, we're going to look at performing regression analysis of our bivariate data in order to interpret the model we've developed, and then we're going to use it to make predictions. Thanks, Year 12s.